Assam's economy is defined by its human capital. In markets like these, you see the dense workforce driving the region's activity. India's population growth follows an inverted U-shaped trajectory. Assam has passed its highest growth phase, beginning the transition toward population aging. This demographic dividend, where the working-age population outnumbers dependents, offers a window for accelerated development, but it is temporary. The window is time-sensitive. If the state navigates this phase while women remain underrepresented in the economy, the potential for long-term growth is limited. The 2025 MOSPI report provides the evidence-based framework needed to understand these dynamics. It uses gender-disaggregated data to identify exactly where structural disparities persist across the state. Analyzing these statistics reveals 3 specific points where progress in one area, like education or health, fails to result in broader economic participation. Economic participation depends on a foundation of health. For the future workforce, that foundation begins with maternal care. The state monitors this through indicators like the total fertility rate and the maternal mortality ratio. These metrics reflect the accessibility of the healthcare system for women across different regions. This chart compares mortality against skilled birth attendants. There is a direct correlation. Fewer registered nurses means maternal and infant mortality remains higher. This deficit in healthcare infrastructure creates a barrier to social stability, a prerequisite for broader economic activity. When survival rates are inconsistent, the transition into education and formal labor becomes significantly more difficult for families to sustain. On paper, Assam shows progress in basic literacy and early school enrollment. However, the gender parity index drops during the transition to higher education, preventing many from achieving the schooling required for technical roles. This leaves a massive gap between those willing to work and those actually employed in the formal labor market. The local response is the growth of self-help groups. Women successfully pool resources and manage microfinance, though these roles often remain within the informal sector. Moving from these micro-enterprises into formal managerial positions is a necessary step toward achieving long-term economic security. Without a way to translate literacy into formal employment, the state sees a diminished return on its investment in education. Political engagement is high. In recent elections, women in Assam have turned out to vote at rates that match or exceed national benchmarks. But that engagement at the ballot box hasn't resulted in equal representation in the state assembly, where the percentage of elected women remains low. One barrier is the gap between the legal system and public safety. While crime reporting has increased, court disposal rates have not kept pace. This massive court pendency weakens legal deterrence, delaying justice and discouraging victims from participating in public life. When safety and legal recourse are uncertain, the environment for consistent economic participation is compromised. Health, education, and safety are interlocking. If any of these systems fail to support the workforce, the state's economic trajectory is impacted. Addressing this requires specific policy shifts, such as directing educational resources toward vocational STEM programs to help bridge the wage gap. It also involves supporting the transition of self-help groups into formal entrepreneurial leadership roles. Finally, increasing the presence of female police officers and resolving court backlogs can help ensure a safer environment for all citizens. Assam has the demographic potential for sustained growth. By using gender-disaggregated data to address these specific gaps, the state can move toward a more inclusive and stable economy.